All right, we are live. We got Matthew, Dakota, Shelby. We get. Do our guests want to introduce ourselves or themselves and give us a little rundown?
Well,
I
Shelby,
haven't spoken to you guys. Shelby knows you guys, but I haven't. So
we'll
let's hear
let
an
Dakota
introduction.
start because Matthew talks a lot all the time anyway.
Perfect. Hey, y'all. My name is Dakota. So I met Shelby through some work over at Saturday Blitz doing some sports writing. I'm the former co editor over at Bama Hammer. I now write for Bookmakers Review and TheRx.com, doing sports betting. I mostly write about college football, NFL, a little bit of college basketball. And I'm a recent Bama grad, so roll tide.
Proud of you.
Congratulations. Nice to meet you, man.
All right, Matt.
I'm Matthew, Knoxville born and raised, living in Nashville right now, coaching high school football. I don't do anything writing or any of that, just a big Vols fan.
He said I don't do
Nice.
writing.
Nice to have you. Yeah.
We
Same.
know.
Just I don't do any cool sports stuff either. I just like the
You do
Gators
this?
and like college football. Yeah, I mean I do this. We're growing, right? But yeah, I don't have an editorial tag or anything yet.
I only do that when I want to do that. But
Feel that.
All right, so we got the introductions out of the way. So let's go ahead and get SEC biased Week 7 started. I would have lined up the icons better had I known how we were gonna arrange ourselves. Maybe you should have moved it. Matthew's the only one that lined up with the overlay there. But all right, so Week 7 or Week 6. Let's start with a recap. Let's go around the horn if you guys want. Should we save Shelby for last since
ouch. It hurts.
she's the only one that lost, or should we get that out of the way first?
The only one that lost. You almost lost to Missouri. I don't want to hear it.
Y'all almost beat Appalachian State.
Almost.
Wait, there are teams who have lost this year?
I know. It's new for
There's
you
teams with
to be in
losses?
October without a loss.
Well, I mean, I guess I knew
yeah.
Florida lost one.
Welcome to the club. Most teams get to experience this pretty often, but this is Tennessee's emergence from the cocoon of mediocrity.
Man, couldn't imagine having a loss right now. Wouldn't know what to do.
Oh, you couldn't imagine it, says the one who this time last year was.
Matt's been in a coma since 2007, but
no
I'm glad to have
idea.
you back.
Couldn't dream of it.
This time last year, he was like, "Is it baseball season? Is it baseball season?"
Skip right over basketball, just straight to baseball.
I mean, if I was a Tennessee fan, I would too.
Oh yeah,
They won the
I
SEC.
won the SEC championship last year.
Yeah, come on. I got to give them that. Some people understand what it's like to have good programs of multiple sports. These folks over here, they only know football.
Hey, we went to Omaha.
And we won an SEC championship in basketball last year. Like not last year, the year before. We're the last SEC program to win an SEC title in football, basketball the same year since Lord knows how long. So.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, an SEC title in the same year?
Yeah, in 2020, we won them both.
Wow, that's
Herb Jones,
cool.
baby.
Maybe y'all could do the national title in the same year.
Must be nice.
All right. We got the banter out of the way. So I got to watch most of the Texas A&M Alabama game. Matthew, what did I miss from the beatdown in Baton Rouge? What I saw the muffed kickoff, but after that, man, walk me through it. How did it feel to go and get that dub?
It felt great. I woke up at 7:30 that morning. It's 11 a.m. kickoff here in Nashville. I cannot eat. Nervous. Just the line. I didn't like the line so low. You don't want to go to Death Valley. But man, it was fun. Man, it was fun. He muffs opening kickoff. We get it. You're about to score. Honestly, I'm disappointed we didn't score more. We way too many field goal attempts, a missed field goal. If we wanted to, we executed a little bit better everywhere. We hang 65 on that team. And that feels good to go into Death Valley. And, I don't know if anybody watched the end of it. Doesn't matter what the score is. If it's a Tennessee game, I watch opening kickoff to the last whistle. And to hear on the TV that it sounds more like you are in Knoxville than it does Baton Rouge, Louisiana, pretty much the entire time was really fun. There was nothing but orange left after about midway through the third quarter. And that's what great teams do. 2016, we started 5-0, and you went in and you just didn't feel right about it. You beat Florida. It felt good to win. You had the Hail Mary against a Georgia team who you knew wasn't very good, and it didn't. This, you've gone out in every game, you've shown that you are elite, and it's a lot of fun.
I remember
Sounds like a good
2016
time.
Well, 2016 was an adventure and a half.
Oh yeah, you're telling me.
Yeah, 2016 was a weird time for the SEC all around. So, I mean, for me, before we dig into the matchup between these two, we went to the Florida game this weekend. It's the first time my wife and kid have ever gone, and had a blast. Man, this is the second time this season that Florida has run fewer than 20 plays in the first half, and fewer than 50 plays in total. And it is very painful and reminiscent of Muschamp at times to have these plotting offenses. But we really got it going in the second half. AR just keeps turning the ball over too much. Like, he's the most frustrating player I've seen in a while. But I love him. He's my boy. And, you know, I don't know about you guys. I will take an almost win every day over a loss. So, I'll take my almost win over Missouri over a loss at home against inferior teams. Who does those things?
Wow. Can we just okay, I was at Buffalo Wild Wings watching the A&M Bama game just to look up and see Texas State beat App State. And I was like, that's fine. That's fine. This is fine.
Yeah, and Texas put it on their biggest rival and just
don't let them tell you
them.
that is not their biggest rival. Do not let them tell you that they don't give a shit about A&M.
I mean, I just base it off of who plays whom every year,
Whose fault is that? And who's coming crying like a baby to the SEC because they want us back?
I don't know. I'd be a little worried if I was an Aggie fan.
I wouldn't. I would not.
Would you take Texas this year over Texas A&M this year?
Yeah.
I wouldn't.
Well, it depends on who's the quarterback.
I don't think either one of them are, world beaters or anything, but you think Weigman's better than he could lead you guys over Ewers?
I say with Ewers, I don't know. But with Card, oh yeah.
Oh.
But let's talk. This team plays up to competition. We saw that against Bama.
That's fair. You also play down to competition. We saw that against App State.
Yep.
But I'm gonna be honest. I was at Doghouse. Matthew might know where Doghouse is, out in Nashville. I did not realize how close this game was until the end of it. I kind of turned. I was, in the cups a little bit. I did succumb to the drink, and that helped me get through some tough points in this game that I did not realize were tough points until the morning after. But the thing with that game, with it being Jalen Milroe, he was put in a really tough situation. I mean, replacing a Heisman quarterback, and I know he got the practice reps that week, but it wasn't guaranteed he was even going to play going into that. The turnovers are just it's not what you want to see. It seems like they were trying to run the traditional pass offense, and he just didn't trust his arm because he made a few mistakes early, and he just was kind of doing a one look and then running it, and a couple of bad fumbles and a few special teams errors kept that game closer than it should have been for too long, and it came down the final play. And I mean, those are ones that maybe in previous years at Alabama you say are completely unacceptable. But I mean, a win's a win, and it's tough getting it like that when you were hoping for it to be that revenge, that beat down, especially after all the drama this offseason between the two teams. But you'll head out with a win and move on to the next week, which is tough to do, but at least better than heading out with a loss and moving on to next week.
Yeah, but see, I will never forget. I was sitting there, and my mom goes, "Well, we can't leave now because obviously we have good juju if we're sitting here and we're not losing." And I said, "That's a problem. We're not losing. It's not that we're winning, but we're not losing."
For real.
So I mean, I hate to keep going back to this, Shelby, but I mean, Texas A&M's kind of been the most interesting talked about team for the wrong reasons for the past 3 weeks now.
Yeah.
Has they did the close loss, did the moral victory of Bama do anything amongst the Texas A&M crowd to tamp down some of the noise and chaos around Jimbo? Did his seat cool off by a couple of degrees, or did it really have no impact because y'all lost?
I don't know, because see, now people are more focused on, is Haynes King hurt? Is Haynes King okay? Because at that last couple plays, he was not okay. And apparently they couldn't inject him with whatever they injected Zach Calzada with last year. Because, man, he went into that tent and came out like Superman. And I was like, I don't know what just happened here. But whatever you just injected him with, save it, please. We were hoping it would save Anaya Smith, but well, yikes. But no, I don't think his seat has cooled off any, because we didn't win, and we should have. Alabama gave us every ability to win that game. They tried to hand us that game multiple times. And Haynes King couldn't do it. And I don't know how I feel about the last play still. You got Johnny on one hand saying that was the stupidest fucking play he's ever seen in his entire life. You've got Kellen on one hand saying we ran that play against Kentucky in 2018 and it worked. And I'm like, okay, it worked for you, but you weren't broken, and you didn't have.
I mean, also that's kind of the difference in playing Bama and Kentucky. I mean,
well,
Bama's on it, and Kentucky you have a little bit more space.
Well, if I can add this as well, one of those quarterbacks won a Heisman, and the other is Kellen Mond.
That's fair.
Yeah, we were talking about the Mike Zimmer quote. I'm not sure if you heard it. I think it was last year about Kellen Mond, to where a reporter asked him, he's like, "Oh, well, do you think Kellen Mond should get snaps in a game?" And he's like, "Not really." And they were like, "Oh, why?" And he's like, "Oh, because I see him every day in practice." And I mean, that kind of sums up Kellen Mond for me. Like, he exists. He's a good player. I mean, he beat us, but doesn't really say a whole lot. Yeah. But I mean, does Kellen Mond hold any weight in Aggie lore? I mean, I feel like this is my favorite part, is learning about Aggie lore, because you guys are new kids on the block in the SEC. So I learn something new about Texas A&M every time we talk.
I feel like Kellen holds a spot in SEC A&M lore, but not in A&M lore overall.
So Manziel
one
is
of those
like
guys that people
can't even hold, or Mond can't even hold Manziel's jock.
No, but people are going to forget.
I don't blame you guys.
Did eventually, but right now, because we've had Haynes King and Zach Calzada and all these guys come in and try to replace Kellen, a lot of people are like, "Oh, I miss Kellen. I miss the consistency that Kellen brought." Consistency.
Yeah.
Consistency. And by consistency, I mean he played every week. He was there.
So you can get there.
5 million years.
How do you see the rest of your season playing out, Shelby? What you got? You got South Carolina, Ole Miss, Florida, Auburn, UMass, and LSU. So you halfway point. You're on a bye week. You got 6 games. What's your record to close out the season?
I could see a win over South Carolina, because I don't care who plays. I don't buy into South Carolina, and they are never able to beat us. They have yet to show us that they can beat us, whether they're good or not. They don't do it. And then who's next? Ole Miss will lose too. That's fine. I've accepted that. Florida will beat. Sorry, Ethan. Because
I'll believe it when I see it. I might have bought that at the beginning of the season, but it's a little bit harder to buy it right now.
Anthony Richardson will hand us that game on a silver platter. I promise you that.
Maybe not. I don't know. We'll see.
We'll beat Auburn. We'll beat UMass. LSU is always a toss-up, but I'm hoping we'll win and it doesn't cost 7 overtimes.
I really hope it does. That game was amazing. Watching Edo get the Gatorade bath and then
by the way,
still have to play.
By the way, it's not real. No Gatorade for you now. apparently a couple of our players brought some of our Gatorade over there after about 3 overtimes in, and some of the players were like, no, don't give them anything. They decided to pour their Gatorade out. We're like, guys, don't be assholes.
I can see it. They need their own Gatorade.
Get your own shit.
Yeah, get your own shit. All right, so I think we were pretty awful on picks last week, so I don't even think we even need to bring that up, honestly. Shelby and I were both just terrible all across the board.
I got pain and sadness. I was right.
You did get pain and sadness, but it was a different kind of pain and sadness. You got the tantalizingly close pain and sadness that just gets ripped away at the last second.
It was pass interference, and you can't convince me any different. Okay, I'm done.
Okay. All right. So our two guests. I want to jump right in. Let's hear it. How Tennessee fans? I hear from a couple of you pretty regularly. How does this third Saturday in October compare to any for you, at least in recent memory? I'm sure this is probably one of the most exciting, but how you feeling, big Orange Nation over there?
Well, it's the most excited we've been in a long time. I mean, I'm 26, so I was born in '96, and the last win we had was in '06. So that's a long time that I've just never really felt good ever. It was kind of, you're going to go in and get beat. You know, I brought up 2016 earlier. We were 5-0. We lost. Was that double or triple overtime to double overtime to Texas A&M? And you just kind of knew. You didn't expect the season to go down the shitter the way it did with South Carolina and Vandy and whatever, but you knew you weren't the team you thought you might be or hoped you'd be. Even the doom and gloom Vol Twitter people that I run around with, because I'm in the worst parts of all of Vol Twitter, they're feeling a win. They're feeling confident. They, if you put a different name on the Alabama jerseys this year, nobody's buying how great they are.
Dakota's face.
You're not that. They have not had a single impressive win besides an Arkansas team who is
lost to
losing
Texas
their
A&M.
Is that impressive?
I mean, they lost Texas A&M. I mean, losing to Texas A&M. Arkansas is not the team we thought they were.
Well, that's
so
what
I mean
I'm saying.
that's why.
I'm just saying, if you swap the uniforms, you swap the colors, Alabama and Tennessee, there's not a single person on earth picking Alabama to win this game. Alabama's a 6.5 point favorite because they're Alabama.
Okay, first off, don't picture us in that gaudy orange. We're not doing that.
I do not wear that gaudy orange. It's not in my color wheel, and I will not wear it.
Not that puke inside of a pumpkin orange. No, I don't like pumpkins. We're not doing that. Also, saying that Alabama is only getting hyped because of the name, I think that disrespects the legacy there, because it's not just the fact that it's a program, it's the fact that you're giving them benefit of the doubt because they've earned that. Nick Saban has proven that even when the dynasty is supposed to have been over multiple times over his tenure, things turn around. Georgia was supposed to destroy us. That didn't happen. After Ole Miss beat us a few years ago, that didn't happen. Last year when we lost to A&M, that was supposed to be the end of it. Georgia was supposed to destroy us in the SEC championship game. That didn't happen. It happens multiple times over his tenure. It's just benefit of the doubt. When you have a Heisman winner who should be healthy in this game, when you have the best defensive player in college football, those two people alone are going to be setting the tone. I'm not saying that Alabama is definitely going to win this game. It's definitely one of the most competitive games we're going to see from Tennessee in the past 15 years since the last time y'all beat us. But the idea that it's just a name is preposterous. Like that's not how football works. Because if that's how it works, like Alabama would have lost other games if they were simply just not as good.
It's not just the name, but you said it yourself. It's the legacy. It's Nick Saban. It's all the other
because
teams
he's done it.
If they were any other team this year, they wouldn't still be the number 3 team in the country, or maybe they would because they're still undefeated. But they just
But they're
wouldn't have
not
the.
any other team. They made it to the championship game last year on a down year, replacing one of the greatest teams of all time. They returned the Heisman winner. They have a defensive coordinator who's proven himself. I'm still not sold on Bill O'Brien as an offensive coordinator, but he coached the first quarterback to ever win the Heisman in Alabama last year, so he's doing at least something right. You bring in Jahmyr Gibbs, who's one of the most dynamic backs in the SEC. And you have players returning at receiver who are bringing depth that we haven't had all year. Now, there's still concerns. Drops have been an issue. Separation's been an issue. The fact that we don't have the person to be the top end speed like Jameson Williams has been in the past, like Jalen Waddle's been in the past, that's an issue. But when you bring Tyler Harrell in, hopefully he'll get get better and get healthier, be able to get some reps in. Jermaine Burton's taking steps in the passing game, and Jahmyr Gibbs alone is a weapon that you can use, like Alvin Kamara, adds depth to the team, and I think that's going to really speak to how this game's going to
go. Listen, I'm not saying they're not good, and I'm not saying they won't win. Well, let me say on record, Tennessee's winning this game. That's the fan in me. That's me picking it. I'm not saying Alabama can't win. I'm not saying they don't have a chance. I was walking around telling anybody who listened, there wasn't no way in hell Florida was winning this year. There was no chance, whatever. I'm not saying that with Alabama. I won't be stunned, shocked, and blindsided if Alabama comes in and wins this game with or without Bryce Young.
Okay, I have a question then. So this has been like the most hyped Tennessee fans have been pretty much my entire lifetime about playing Alabama. You have all this energy being like, this is our shot. Alabama's trending down. We're trending up. Hendon Hooker's playing his best. Great offense. And you're at home of all times. Bryce Young's not 100% healthy. It seems like everything is pointing to this being the year. So what happens for the fandom, for the energy, if you have all those things going for you, this is your year, and it still doesn't happen?
See, that would have been a better question against Florida.
Bro, but
if it was
you've beaten Florida
nobody
before.
is going to consider you amongst the best of the SEC or in the country until you beat Georgia or Alabama.
And that's fine. But if you tell me we're
Not
going to lose
Florida.
to Alabama, but I'm talking about for Tennessee fandom. Florida would have been demoralizing. If we go lose a close game, obviously I won't talk to anybody all weekend. I'll go to school pissed off on Monday. My players will probably hate me Monday afternoon when we go over, film and running and stuff. I'll already be in a bad mood. But, you lose this game, yeah, it's going to suck. Probably means you don't have a chance against Georgia. Now you're a 10-2 team, third in the SEC, Sugar Bowl. And this is off on the second year of a coach who, when he was hired, we were told 3-year bowl ban. And even if you don't get the bowl ban, all the people who left, it'll be 4 years before you play a bowl anyway, all this. If we go 10-2 this year, we might be following in the footsteps of what Lane Kiffin did. Decent first year, really, really good second year. Now in his third year, he's undefeated right now. Top 10 team in the country. If we can get back to that, you got to walk before you can run sometimes. So if it takes 10-2 this year as a disappointment now, I'd have taken that 10 times out of 10 last year.
Yeah, and I think if you went into the year with that, you would take that and run with it. But what I'm saying is now that you have all this excitement, just that anticlimax, that letdown. It's like when you come back, in a basketball game and you make a game tying shot and then you go to overtime, and you're like, oh, this is it, we got it, and then you lose in overtime. It's like that you did all that work, you were just this close, everything was going your way, and it just closes.
It'll
that's
suck.
demoralizing.
It'll suck, but it'll suck for a week. It will suck for 2 weeks because no matter what we do, nobody's going to care what we do against UT Martin. But then we'll have a, hopefully Saturday night game against Kentucky, and everything will go back. And, you got to believe you can build off this. Yeah, Hendon Hooker's been amazing, but you've seen Joe Milton. Joe Milton will be in his third year in this system. Joe Milton has more raw talent than Hendon Hooker. So and then you got a 5-star in Nico Yamalava coming in. Like, Tennessee is trending outwardly up. I mean, you may not be where a win automatically puts you. You beat Alabama, you're a top, hell, you're not a shoe-in, but you're one of the 7 teams with a chance at the playoff, even with a loss to Georgia. Because if you beat Alabama and then Georgia beats you and then goes and beats Alabama again in the SEC championship, depending on how other conferences shake out, you're the one-loss SEC team in the playoff. But it's not, like I said, it's 10-2. It's the first. We haven't had a 9-win season since 2006 or 2007. A 10-win season's been 2005, 3, one of those two. I mean, hell, I wasn't even 10 yet. So we go 10-2. There'll be plenty to go off of, but I'm not even worried about that. What we're worried about now is Saturday and kicking Alabama's ass.
Okay.
I guess we'll see.
Oh, Lord.
All right. I will say I have a standing bet that if Tennessee beats Georgia and Alabama, I will record myself singing Rocky Top in a Tennessee T-shirt for my Tennessee. That's how confident I'm not. That's how I'm confident that that's not going to happen. What do you think, Shelby? Who you got, Tennessee or Bama here?
I need Bama to beat Tennessee soundly so it makes A&M look better.
Okay.
That's what I need in my life. Sorry, Matt.
Beta mentality. Anybody who's not an Alabama fan, I take that back because I get Georgia, I get Florida, I get Kentucky. Vanderbilt's opinions are relevant. Who gives a shit? But like those 4 teams hate Tennessee as much or more than anybody else. I get that. If you're not one of those 4 teams and you're cheering for Alabama to beat anybody any Sunday, any Saturday ever, get the fuck out of here.
Oh, okay.
I mean, that's fair. I have about 5 teams I hate more than Tennessee just because you guys have been like almost an automatic dub for half my life. But this year, I'm happy to see you guys emerge and make some noise. It's to me, I mean, when you guys finish 9-3, it's just gonna make it that much sweeter after being 6-0.
9-3.
Yeah.
9-3's over. When we beat y'all in LSU and Pitt, 9-3 was out the way.
You say that, but I mean, I think you guys are the 3rd best team in the SEC. Don't get me wrong. I think you're going to lose to Bama. I think you're going to lose to UGA. Based off of how bad I know Florida is, I'm not entirely sure that if you guys dick around with teams the way y'all dicked around with us and almost let us come back into that game, South Carolina, Missouri, they can pop up on you. And I wouldn't bet against you guys to not go 10-2. I just think how I've seen the SEC play out time and time again. Kentucky, Missouri, South Carolina, you guys should be favored pretty heavily in all of those games. Don't nobody want to play Kentucky with or without their starting quarterback because they'll put a fucking wide receiver at quarterback and run it 25 times out of the Wildcat. But yeah, I think 9-3 is what you guys are going to end up, and then you're going to come back to Tennessee reality, and I think that it starts this weekend.
Reality.
So you're telling me you think one of Kentucky, South Carolina, or Missouri beats us?
Missouri almost.
I'm saying it's possible. I'm saying that if you guys come out of this game undefeated and you guys are better than what I've seen, I would say maybe 11-1 if you can beat Bama. That would show you guys are clicking. I think after you lose this weekend and then after you lose to UGA, you're going to have a bunch of seniors on your team who aren't going to go to the SEC or national championship, and then it's going to be, the season winds down. Maybe you're 10-2, but then you catch one of those teams at the end of the season. Maybe you got somebody who's dinged up. Maybe you got somebody who's just, I don't know. Things happen in college football, and you turn the ball over 4 times or something uncharacteristic for this season. That's my viewpoint on you guys possibly being 9-3.
You name the bet, I'll take it right now.
Don't, oh
let me
Lord.
think. Yeah, I mean this could happen too. I was gonna beat Tennessee twice. We'll have to come up with something. I mean, we can put I'll put $20 on it that Tennessee finishes 9-3. We'll go small, or we can do I can't sing Rocky Top twice. I could send you the recording of it, but that's the best I can do.
I can't sing Rocky Top twice.
Yeah, that song already gets stuck in my head every time we play you guys.
I do 20.
All right. So let's move on. We'll go alphabetical. We got Auburn at Ole Miss.
Auburn's crap.
Does Brian Harsin continue to hang on, or does Ole Miss break off like 45 in him and then they finally fire him?
If they haven't fired him by now, do you think they just let him go to the end of the season?
I mean, I guess it depends on the buyout situation. I don't know enough about it to know, but if it's like Scott Frost, where it's going to cost them $10 million, I mean, you're 6 games in, might as well wait. The drawback is if you wait, Nebraska, Wisconsin, who else has openings now? Any other school that comes
Carolina
open,
Panthers, NFL.
They're going to have the Matt Rule's going to be a hot commodity. You wait until the end of the season, Matt Rule's already going to be moved into Lincoln or Madison and on the trail by the time Auburn formally fires their coach, or you could do what Miami did and just hire the guy before you fire your previous coach and just don't tell him about it, I guess.
It's $15 million if they wait till the end of the season. I can't find what it would be if they did it in the middle. So it's 15 million, or between 15 and 15.3 for the end of the season.
All right, so
I bet you they really wish that all those allegations would have come true. That way they could fire him with cause at the beginning of the year.
Those mysterious allegations that just came and went as soon as people stopped freaking out about him. Who would you guys? Who do you think would be a good fit for Auburn if that job comes open?
I think there's only one name on their board when Harson's gone, and it's Hugh Freeze.
Are you really going to take a scandalous coach to replace a scandalous coach?
That's fair.
And the scandals align so well.
He may or may not have, with no corroborating evidence, slept with a staffer.
Hey, all I'm saying is Ned Fulmer left the Try Guys for less.
Fair.
And I mean, someone could have stolen Hugh Freeze's phone. I mean, you never know what happens in these situations. But gosh, I mean, I don't think Auburn fans want Matt Rule. I think that would be smart for them. I think Matt Rule would be a really good fit. The fact that I think he's going back to college in general. There's no way he's gonna want to be like a coordinator in the NFL. And I think he's too good to sit on the bench unless he just takes his money and goes home.
$40 million is a lot of money to sit by the pool.
I don't know the details of that buyout, if he's going to have to actively apply for jobs to earn it, if it's kind of like unemployment, or if it's here it is, do whatever you want, like Coach O's was. But I think that would be a candidate if he has that option. I'm going to throw a fun one out there just for the heck of it. Coach Prime. Auburn fans would love it, I bet, if you got Deion Sanders in there. I don't know how that would do for the old Aflac commercials. That might break some ties. But I mean, I think that would just be fun for recruiting more than anything else. He's going to be a better recruiter than Brian Harsin. And I don't know if he's ready to make the move to Power 5, especially the SEC. But if he wants to go prove himself, unless he's waiting for Florida State to come available, I mean, he knows that area. He knows the South. He knows how to coach. So maybe.
Yeah, I think Deion definitely has the he has the highest floor, but also, he has the highest ceiling, but also the lowest floor, and that I could see him just bringing, just going 2-10 and just causing chaos for a chaotic athletic department already. It could go either way with him. I guess it all depends on the situation he arrives into, and Auburn is definitely not the situation that I would want to cut my teeth at the FBS level. I think Georgia Tech would be a good fit for Coach Prime too.
Maybe.
I'm kind of curious to see if what about Will Muschamp? Does Will Muschamp come back to Auburn?
I hope so.
What do you
That'd be
think if
great
they
for us.
gave him like a $8 million staffing salary to where he could go and get whatever offensive coordinator he wanted, gets Garrett Riley from TCU? I mean, I would be so pissed if I were an Auburn fan and they hired Will Muschamp, but I don't know, it just kind of popped in my mind.
I mean,
All
it
right.
depends on what you're valuing. Like, do you want to take another swing for the fences like they did with Brian Harsin, someone who hasn't done it at the Power 5 level? Or are you going to try to take somebody who's, proven himself at least a little bit and a head coach who might be looking for a second shot? I don't know the right way to go, but I think it's going to be really interesting because I'd be shocked if that opening doesn't come up by I don't even know if he'll make it to the Iron Bowl, if you're being honest.
Yeah. I feel like Auburn, kind of going back to what Shelby was saying, I feel like Auburn, looking at the college football landscape right now for what we know, you got Georgia Tech, Wisconsin, Nebraska, a couple other teams. I mean, I think Georgia Tech, if their administration and their infrastructure gave a crap about sports, they could probably be pretty good again with the way Atlanta's blown up in the past 10 or 15 years. But I think Auburn's the best job that's probably going to be open by the end of this year, unless something unforeseen happens. But yeah, I mean, it's an interesting thing to watch for me because I think Harsin was just a bad hire from the get-go. Like, he just wasn't a cultural fit. And in the SEC, in the South, it's a lot different with knowing the high school coaches, knowing how people work, knowing how things work in your area and your recruiting footprint. And then you hire a guy from Boise State who's never been in the Southeast, and it's like, of course he's going to struggle. I mean, it's a new world for him. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So who you got, Auburn or Ole Miss? Anybody want to give me a score prediction?
We know Shelby doesn't do score predictions.
48-3.
Wrong.
I like it. All right.
I think Auburn covers. I don't know about, or sorry, I think Ole Miss covers. I don't know about a score prediction, but I think this could get really ugly. I think Ole Miss is going to put up at least like 40-something points on them, and I don't see Auburn's offense just keeping up.
Yeah, definitely agree with all those. All right. So the one out of conference matchup we have, Arkansas at BYU, going out to Provo.
I'm a lot more excited about this matchup at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, I can appreciate that. Both of these teams looked exciting at times, and now just it looks like a weird Arkansas at BYU game. I don't know how else to put it. It's just not a matchup I would have expected to see. I'm going to be honest. Arkansas is probably the team in the SEC that I can just not figure out week to week at all. Like, people tell me KJ Jefferson's good, then I watch him play and I'm like, what's this about? They tell me their defense is good and then I watch them play and it's this.
Maybe it's you.
Maybe it is me. I don't know. I'm sorry, Dargan and Razorback fans. Every time I turn Razorback football on, I'm just like, I don't know, KJ Jefferson will fumble, or it'll just be somebody, unless somebody's wide open, it's like they can't move the ball at all. And on defense, they just
for the goal line from like the 5-yard line.
Yeah. I hear that's a bad strategy. So I don't really have much to weigh in on these two teams. I mean, I have no pulse for Arkansas. They're favored by 1.5, I think, at BYU. I would imagine Arkansas could beat BYU by a touchdown. I just haven't seen Arkansas as a team that it just has not been consistent at all this year, and I just have no idea how they're going to play going all the way across the country to play in altitude.
Yeah, Utah is also like a famously really tough place to play. BYU in general has that. BYU it's in Utah, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, it's in
Like, yeah, going to that state. And BYU has like a crazy home record. I don't know how they pull it off every year. Even after Zach Wilson left, they have just some crazy record at home. So I think that's what's leading to the spread being so low. You would think that the way Arkansas plays, that they would be more consistent because it's more running the ball. It's not taking massive risks. KJ Jefferson's an athletic quarterback. Turnovers have been an issue, but it hasn't been a death nail for him in the past. And the way that defense should hold up, especially with Drew Sanders playing inside linebacker, like that should be a defense that can stop the run and can force BYU to be out of its comfort zone, even though they're playing at home. So logic would dictate for Arkansas to cover the spread. I think just the fact that it's at BYU is just going to make this a little bit tougher and keep it close.
Arkansas and logic are not friends.
Facts.
This ends up being one of those classic, we're a good team in a shitty conference, and we're going to play a decent team in the SEC and learn how much better that conference is than the rest of college football.
BYU's independent, aren't they?
Well, independent, shitty conference, all the same. It's not the SEC.
I even though they're independent, I still think of them as like Mountain West Conference because like they play all of those teams.
They're Big
regularly.
12 next year.
Yeah, they'll be Big 12 next year, which is a shitty conference.
Yes. That's why Texas and Oklahoma are coming here.
Right. I think I've seen some of the same things as you with Arkansas, and I think the answer to why they are so inconsistent and why they're figuring themselves out still here is Sam Pittman, and I'm not saying he won't be good. I'm not saying he won't be great. Sam Pittman is learning how to be a head coach. And you can get some juice being the new guy and being especially his personality in a place like Fayetteville. You hire 2 great assistants, but eventually things catch up with you. And I think that's what's catching up right now is now you have a head coach who's always been a little in over his head. Not to say he can't, not to compare him to Dabo, but Dabo didn't know what the hell he was doing, but going from wide receivers coach to head coach at Clemson. And he kept the right people around him, and he figured it out eventually. And maybe Pittman does, but I think that's Arkansas struggles right now, is you have a head coach who was never fit at the time to be the head coach of an SEC program. That being said, they'll go out there and they'll beat BYU by 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, I like that. That's a really interesting point. I hadn't really considered that, but that makes a lot of sense what you just said. Yeah, I think Pittman. I think that's part of Arkansas is probably one of 3 or 4 places in the SEC that you could go to and get 4 or 5 years to really build things up the way you need to and get things rolling, kind of like like you were saying with Dabo. I don't like Kendall Briles, but that's a separate story. But he does have a cool offense. It's just I always wonder. The question's always going to be with places like Arkansas, where are you going to get your talent from? And you got Bama taking the talent. You got Texas A&M, Oklahoma, Louisiana or LSU to the south. Little Rock and Fayetteville are like growing areas population-wise, but compared to where maybe not so much Tennessee, but you guys are doing a good job of getting national. But Bama, Florida, and Texas A&M, we have a 3-hour drive around us where you can throw a stone and hit a 4-star recruit. And I feel like Arkansas is even in a worse spot than Tennessee when it comes to having access to those guys, because that's the biggest drawback to Arkansas going forward, I think, is just not having that built-in support base that almost every other team in the SEC does. Even Clemson, the DMV and the Carolinas, there's a lot of talent in that area before, and North Georgia, obviously. And so I think that's the thing, that they may have the right guy, but we might just see that without Bobby Petrino's gimmicky offense and Darren McFadden, Arkansas is who they are. I'm with you, though. I think Arkansas handles business, 10 to 14 point win there. Do we need to devote any time to Vandy at Georgia?
I mean, we said that about Ole Miss and Vandy, and
our predictions are bad, and we should feel bad for how bad they are.
You should feel bad.
Every time Georgia's had a gigantic number next to them, I've been like, oh, Georgia's got this. Kent State, Missouri, 30 points. Yeah, they're going to cover. And then it's like, they scrape by. But they looked pretty good against Auburn last week once they got going. So, I mean, for my sake, I hope that they continue to scuffle until we beat them. But I'm not holding out hope for that. But that's all I got to say about Vandy. I think Uga's going to 45-0 them.
Oh, poor Vandy. Remember when
They had a good run.
That was fun.
RIP Clark Lee's revenge tour, week 0 through week 2.
They tried.
They looked really good against Hawaii, and then people realized that it's like, oh wait,
Honest
SEC
to
team
God,
against
though,
Hawaii.
I love Hawaii. I think the Rainbow Warriors is like the coolest mascot I've ever heard of in my entire life, and I want a t-shirt.
They need to go back to that branding.
They do. I agree.
This dark green, black, turtle fucking colors isn't doing the job anymore.
Mm-mm. We need a Polytechnic Rainbow Warrior holding the football.
Chrome rainbow helmets.
Yes.
You're Hawaii. Who fucking cares? Have fun.
Yep. You have 1 week out of the year to where everybody's watching Hawaii football because we've just spent 6 months craving college football. And then they give us week 0, and it's like a 10:30 matchup between Hawaii and somebody else. And you're just like, oh, this is great. Yeah, at least let me see some cool helmets or something. Shit.
Mountain West after dark, always take the over. I don't miss
Yep.
Hawaii games.
Hawaii, man. Of course, now I think of ugly uniforms, and all I can think of is the Florida one. What was that, 2015?
Oh, God. Yeah, the swamp jersey thing that we rolled out there.
Look, here's the deal. They were ugly, but they were cool. And we need to quit just pretending because they were ugly, we all have to hate them.
I'm glad to hear you say that, man. Texturally, the problem is on TV, you didn't get to see the texture, so it just looked like this ugly-ass green and brown jersey. But the brown was like a textured, like ribbing type of thing. And when you saw them like zoomed in, they looked okay, cool, but ugly. But we'll go with okay. In game, they look like diarrhea, and like that was just awful.
But on Twitter, they looked fantastic. I was a big fan of them until they were on the TV. I get what you said. It didn't work right, but
it's a good thing no one was watching Florida on the TV then.
Oh,
sorry, had to. Don't even know why I aimed at it.
Guy.
I have to catch a stray.
If CBS didn't have the built-in Bama bias, maybe some other teams would be on CBS. But every time Bama plays a game, CBS, Gary Danielson's just there, like waiting for it.
I didn't have to hear that because I could not hear the sound in Buffalo Wild Wings, and I'm just gonna enjoy that I didn't have to hear that.
FSU at NC State was an hour late kicking off. They both were supposed to kick off at 7 p.m. Eastern time. Texas A&M and Alabama, and NC State and FSU. FSU had an hour delay because NC State's lights wouldn't turn on, and their game still finished before the Texas game because of CBS.
We're leaving. Here's to leaving the CBS for.
Yeah, I know. Right? Can't get here fast enough. Pour one out for that. Matt, so I want to pick your brain a second. So I know you said you don't really care about Vandy. Where would Vandy rank on your rivalry list? Because a couple of Tennessee fans I've talked to had them like top 2, and I laughed in their faces when they said that to me.
It depends on the year. The top 3 cycles. It's Alabama, it's Georgia, and it's Florida. And like this year, all my animosity for Florida was finally just not released, but I was able to exercise that demon. Right? I was talking shit, whatever. Georgia's at the point now where you hate Georgia, but you're not really going to get in the, the end of the Fulmer era was, I feel like, the height of our Georgia hate. I'd love for it to be Alabama again. I've never got to really hate Alabama besides just fucking hate them.
Yeah.
But no, Alabama for me, Vandy is. It's certainly below those 3. It's below Kentucky. Let's see here. So I guess it's 5th, but that's because if it wasn't, I'd have to hate South Carolina or Missouri, and
You just don't have the energy for
yeah, who
that.
gives a shit?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, you mean A&M's most hated rival, South Carolina?
Yeah, and see, here's the thing. My best friend was born in Columbia, and so I've never hated South Carolina. So we do a parlay every week where we have Tennessee and South Carolina to win, and so I end up rooting for them to make money. Doesn't happen very often, but we do it anyway. And so like I don't hate South Carolina. Like obviously I always want to beat them. There's nobody that I root for over Tennessee, but I guess Vandy's 5th. Who cares? Now it will be fun. We're trying to do Checker Vandy this year.
I saw that. Yeah.
And I am living in Nashville this year, and I will be there. So hopefully it happens. Well, I won't be there if we don't check it. I'll go there, just take the picture and laugh at Vandy, but I'm not. I like going to big games with big atmospheres. I'd rather drink my cheap beer and use my clean toilet at home.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Definitely feel that.
That's what Oklahoma fans would have rather done this weekend.
I just hope they don't
All
come
right.
after Heupel.
You think Oklahoma? Nah, Venables gonna. Oklahoma's a patient school, I think.
I mean, they're patient until lose, go 6-6ish, and they join the SEC. They'll make a change. I'm not saying it'll happen this year. Venables is good. He could lose the rest of his games, and they'll figure out another year. And I think as long as Bob Stoops still has anything to say over there at Oklahoma, Heupel's not going over there. But I've seen it. People are starting to talk. I don't like it.
Gotcha.
You should have picked him up last year when you had a better shot of doing it. Now, like, do you leave Tennessee for Oklahoma? Like, real talk. I mean, now that you've built it, like, do you want to give that up for something that might be a little bit better down the road?
Well, that's the thing. It's, obviously neither one is in the same scenario, but it's like everybody, Dabo would certainly leave Clemson for Alabama. Ain't no way. He'd be a dumbass to leave Clemson for Alabama right now.
Yeah, and Alabama would be dumbasses for hiring him.
Because
God, I hate Dabo.
If you're not better than Saban, you'll be a failure no matter what. The next person. You've built a program who will love you forever.
That's true. I just feel like Mike Gundy, Dabo, like at a certain point, you're either going to become Kirk Ferentz or you're going to become Saban. And I feel like both of them are 10, 12-ish years into their current stint. And they're obviously Dabo has won national titles, but would you bet on Dabo to win a national title in the next 5 years at Clemson? Because I wouldn't.
No.
But if he came to Alabama next year, would you give him a 1-in-5 shot of winning the title? Because I probably would, just because Bama has what he needs. I get what you're saying, though. I mean, Dabo could never win another title and coach for 25 more years at Clemson, and they would never fire him, and he would go out a legend. Whereas at Bama, if he doesn't win that title in 2 to 5 years, I mean, he's just going to be an abject failure. So, I guess it all depends on what kind of pressure people want.
Yeah, scare money, don't make money.
Yeah, well, there you go.
But how much money can Alabama realistically pay him that Clemson couldn't match?
I mean, I think at this point, contracts are just pissing contests.
Right. That's the thing. It's all fake money. It's all monopoly money.
I don't think it would be a money thing. Yeah, I think it would just have to be either he wants his chance to come back home, he wants his chance to be the head man, or Clemson's too woke for him and he has to go somewhere where the OAN viewership is higher. I don't know. I mean,
come on, you didn't have to do us that dirty. Come on, it ain't that bad. We have organizations. We have stuff going on.
I know, buddy, I know. We had a guy who was a big Auburn fan who was like an organizer in Auburn for all kinds of protests and unions and stuff like that. But come on, that's no fun. It's no fun to talk about real life. It's fun to make jokes about Bama.
Bama.
Yeah,
We're all tired.
So we got LSU at Florida. Florida 2.5 points. This is the return trip. This is the first game back in the swamp since the Cleat Yeet. The infamous Marco Wilson ruining our entire season. And
Is he still on an NFL roster?
yeah, he was a second round pick.
I just
He
don't.
wasn't a second round pick, was he?
Was he really?
He was a 4th round
No.
pick. I'm sorry.
I was about to say, no, he was not a second round pick. He's with like the Cardinals or something, right?
Yeah, he's with the Cardinals.
Yep. Oh, that's a lovely picture.
I was thinking of Quincy Wilson. Pretty sure Quincy Wilson was a second round pick.
I thought he was a 5th round pick.
Man, it's been a long time. Let's see. Yeah, he's a second round. 46th overall, Quincy.
Oh, I'm thinking of Quincy Williams. Sorry, I'm thinking of
No,
brother.
you're
My
fine.
bad.
It's been like 7, 8 years. Honestly, any player with the last name Wilson, I have just tried to purge it from my brain after what Marco did to us. So what do you guys think? Obviously, I'm going to be super SEC biased here and think that Florida's going to run away with this one, but LSU always has some tricks up their sleeve. My Georgia friends, they say this is their favorite game of the year because they get to sit back and just watch 2 teams just mash into each other.
That's fair.
How much different are these 2 teams?
Man, not that different, honestly. I mean, I think our running game's better. I think we have better running backs. I think we have a better O-line. I think their defense is better. I think that both of us have those. I think AR, from a physical, tangible aspect, he has a stronger arm. He's better. But, man, if bad AR shows up, we could lose to Vandy. I mean,
well, that's what I think this is going to be. Daniels versus Richardson, who fucks up the least? And whichever quarterback doesn't give the game away, that team is going to win. And they're both just as liable to do it. I tend to agree with you. I think if both of them come out and they play the best games they've ever had, Florida wins. But their lows can be so low. I mean, so low. And so it could be a really good game. It could be a really good game because it's a really bad game, or it could just be a horrible game for everyone involved.
yeah.
However, I will take LSU on a game-winning or game-sealing defensive touchdown.
Ooh, okay. I'm gonna make a note of that. LSU on game sealing. I did the same thing last week to where I told Shelby I might have a 1% chance of being right about this, but if I ever am right about it, I'm gonna look like a genius. So I always swing for the fences.
Nobody remembers all the times you were wrong. They remember
Exactly.
Right. It's why Bayless has a job. It's why Coward has a job. It's why ESPN's still a company. That's how you do it.
Yep.
Nah, Bayless has a job because he is wrong. Like, name one time he was right. Like, I get your point, but that's not what Bayless's game is. His game is intentionally getting it wrong, even if he stumbles into something right.
You might be right about that, but that's Coward. Like, Coward's done his victory lap for a year now about how he was right about Baker Mayfield.
That's fair.
Yeah, he does.
I really think he was loud wrong about Baker Mayfield. It just ended up not working out, just like every other Browns quarterback since the merger.
The poor Brown. That's why I feel bad for Myles Garrett. I wanted him to go anywhere but Cleveland, but here we are.
I root for you to have success if you're a Vol. Peyton was a little bit different. He was a Colt, first of all, and that's my NFL team, so that was great. But, if you have a good season, great. I don't care how your team does. We've got, 6 Vols on the Saints. I fucking hate the Saints. Let Alvin Kamara score 5 touchdowns. Let Lante Taylor get 2 picks. Let Shai Tuttle get a sack. Let Marquez get a, Hail Mary. And then I hope they lose by 50. I don't fuck the Saints. I don't want any of them to ever win a game.
Well, there you go.
Matt's talking Saints.
See, I get to just impartially view the NFL because I was a Buccaneers fan until they drafted Jameis Winston. And I tweeted it. I tried to warn them if they draft Jameis Winston over Marcus Mariota, I was not going to be a fan. and they did it anyways. And
Your fandom is what they
so they lost one fan
God.
because they drafted James Winston. But ever since then, I just haven't had. Tom Brady was probably my second least favorite player, and then when he came back to the Bucks, if I became a Bucks fan, then I would just be on the bandwagon. And I mean, it's a lot easier just to watch the Florida players do their thing and enjoy the football.
You're in Florida then, I presume, yeah?
Yeah.
Dolphins bandwagon, baby. We're taking members every day.
See, I
Thumbs
am
up.
in the Panhandle, so I'm kind of more of like, I'm just in a bad spot, man. Like, I can't be a Falcons fan because they're just in Georgia. I can't be a Jaguars fan because they're just god awful. Like, the best thing about the Jacksonville Jaguars is the guy from The Good Place doing his Bortles impression. I mean, that's really it. So yeah, I just sit back and relax and enjoy the NFL.
I'm glad you didn't go Falcons. I cannot stand the people
Yeah.
who are like, oh, I'll cheer for the team in another state because they're closest to me. I deal with that with Braves fans all the time, and it's disgusting. It's
Yeah, I can't comment on that because, I mean, Atlanta is significantly closer to me than Tampa or Miami are. So I've always been a Braves fan.
Ugh, ugh.
For,
Fuck 'em.
as an Alabama resident, I don't care. Like, we got nothing. We ain't got shit.
Said, I don't care.
We don't even have a state like touching that has like multiple good things. Not even sports, just in general. Like we are in the bottom half of all the bottom halves. It's not fun. So root for who you want. Bring joy. Sports is supposed to bring joy.
Who are your pro teams then? I got to know this now.
I mean, I'm a Dolphins fan, but I'm not a lifelong Dolphins fan. I've only been there because of Tua. Before then, I was just straight up like root for Alabama players. Whoever wins, like I just want to be entertained. Like I watch professional sports like I watch like drama TV shows. It's like I'm not rooting for one thing over the other. I'm rooting to enjoy myself, and as long as that happens, I'm having a great time.
I wish
I've changed that with the Dolphins, but the other like NBA overtime. I root for overtime. Like MLB, I root to go to sleep. But beyond that, like
I'm a Rangers
Dolphins fins up. Oh gosh, I guess I gotta become a Preds fan now for hockey. Speaking of Rangers, now you're talking about baseball, but speaking of Rangers in general,
No,
I become
fuck the Preds too.
Alrighty.
See,
then.
yeah, I mean,
Talking
I
Predators.
would prefer to see the Jags, Bucks, and Dolphins win, but I don't care enough about any of them to go one way or the other. I had a buddy in high school in it's about 06 or so, maybe 08, and he was a Colts, Florida, Boston Celtics, Patriots fan, and he lived in Florida his entire life. And I was just like, dude, come on. You just chose whatever team finished first in their respective sport the year before, and that's the team you bought a T-shirt for. Like, get out of here, man.
My one rule: if you root for a college, you have to root for that college in every sport. No Alabama football, Duke basketball. That's the worst type of fan. Tier 3, worst fan.
We got a lot of Volcats in this area.
Ugh.
Kentucky basketball, Tennessee football, and it's the most disgusting thing ever.
That sounds like a slur.
My baseball team is St. Louis. My hockey team is the Florida Panthers. And then Pacers and then Colts. My dad's from Indianapolis. So it's always been Colts and Pacers. St. Louis bought MLB 1 year, and that was the team I played with. And I was like, fuck it, I'll cheer for them. I don't really care. And then I didn't have a hockey team, just decided to hate the Preds. I was listening to the Dan Le Batard show a lot, based in Miami. So I heard a lot about the Panthers. I was like, fuck it, I'll cheer for them.
So I'm a Dallas girl, so all my Dallas teams are near and dear to my heart, even though they break my heart. Every year, each of them find a way, and there is only one Dallas team that can be good at a time, and don't let anyone tell you otherwise. And if more than one Dallas team wins on one day, will we then be punished the next time we all play?
Did you
one Dallas
see
team at a time.
where Luka, the Gators are going to be using custom-made Luka ones for their basketball shoes?
I love that.
Pretty
Luka
cool.
is one of my favorite human beings, and he says that he learned so much from Dirk. And I said, please learn loyalty from Dirk and never leave us, because the Mavericks need help.
He's going to be on like an Eastern European super team. It's going to be like him, Nurkic, Jokic, Dragic. They're going to go to like the Kings or something, and it'll be like the Angels with Trout and Otani. And despite having the best players in their sport, they will still finish last in their division.
Yikes.
All right, we got one more game this weekend for the SEC. Mississippi State at Kentucky. I'll go ahead and go first. I think Mississippi State's rolling, and I think Kentucky is reeling. And I think that Mississippi State will handle this pretty easily. What was the spread on this? 7? I think Mississippi State handles that pretty easily. Mississippi State's defense is looking pretty good, surprisingly, and their run game is picking up. So I think they got it.
Was it that guy that does the SEC recaps? You mean I can run the ball whenever I want? I was like, yep, pretty much.
Mike Leach
What's up with
spent
Will
15
Levis?
years tricking everybody into trying to defend the air raid just so he can run it down their throats this year.
Just this year, he's like,
Long game.
Yeah,
20.
exactly. He's playing 4D chess.
Is Will Levis back? I honestly haven't kept up with Kentucky enough. Is he
I
good?
don't know.
Or is he out?
Here, I'll find out for you. Hold on.
Oh,
Gonna
Lord.
go scream for Will Levis.
Mustang. Is Levis back? What's the feeling?
Yeah,
Yeah?
I would say so.
All right. We're trying to figure it out on the podcast right now.
Yeah,
I figured I'd ask the Kentucky expert that I know.
we can't afford a game without him, so we better put him back.
You heard it here first. Levis is back. Breaking news.
All right.
Great
Heard that.
content.
Texas is back, though.
This is
First-
top-notch analysis. You can't
Okay,
beat
we can get back to
That's
that.
just-
Your inside source, his name is Mustang?
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's not what you think, though. He drives a Mustang.
Okay.
Gotcha.
What'd you think that I thought?
I don't know. I just like saying
It was
that
an
when people
actual
ask that.
anamorph.
I just like saying that when people ask.
Oh,
Right.
it's up to- yes, like Kool-Aid's real name is Kool-Aid. Like, that's...
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
So
Well,
I'll have
from
to
now
try
on,
and
y'all
say
are
it.
calling me Hyundai Sonata, I guess. But yeah, if he actually plays, I'll take Kentucky. I think he can do enough at home in a not marquee game. Like, I mean, this is a big game, but it's not a prove it game like he's played before and struggle. I think he can do it. But if he's hurt, if he's not at least 75%, give me Mississippi State. And I know waffling's not the best for content. We love the hot takes, but I'm just being honest.
I'm still stuck on Mustang.
We had a kid in my high school. We nicknamed him Tater, and that shit stuck for 4 years.
Well, there's a lot of Matts. His name is Matthew. My name's Matthew. We've got like 2 others, so it was Mustang.
I had to
Mustang
explain to
Matt.
somebody during the Alabama A&M game that Kool-Aid's name is not actually Kool-Aid.
He might. He was talking about legally changing it. I don't know if he ever did. I hope he did. Is
They
that
said-
on the?
He tweeted, imagine carrying your child for 9 months just to name him Kool-Aid. And I said, his name is not literally Kool-Aid.
That would be tough. That would
Just
be
like
tough.
Speedy Noyle's name was not Speedy, nor was it catchy. But
Yikes.
Um,
Just coming for him.
did Speedy ever get his tooth back after Mac Wilson knocked it out, or is that still on Bryant Denny Stadium's field?
I think it's still on the field. I would,
All right. Well, that shit's fertilizer now. But
whenever it wasn't targeting, but should have been targeting, yeah.
oh yeah, definitely should have been targeting.
Should have killed Speedy Noyle. Could have killed.
So, okay,
Definitely
this is an
thought,
interesting cross section here. So we got Kentucky sitting at 4-2, Mississippi State sitting at 5-1. So after this game for Mississippi State, they have Bama, Auburn, Georgia, East Tennessee State, and Mississippi. I mean, if Mississippi State doesn't pull this off, they might finish the season like 7-5. right? I mean, Bama, Georgia, Ole Miss. I don't know if I would take Mississippi State in any of those games, like to
I
even
wouldn't.
cover, much less win.
If they can't beat Kentucky, no.
Yeah, if they don't get this win, I mean, you could be looking at this transcendent, rising Mississippi State team that finishes 7-5.
If you truly mean that you cannot see them beating Ole Miss on a Thursday in the Egg Bowl, then give me Mississippi State all day, because that's what the Egg Bowl is.
Okay, barring a receiver fake urinating on a goalpost or something, that rivalry. I can't pretend to predict that. I think that from what I've seen from Ole Miss, they appear better all around than Mississippi State. I think Mississippi State is kind of hitting on all cylinders right now. They're only 2-3 games removed from letting LSU just run roughshod over them for the last 3 quarters of the game. So I mean, I just think that yes, I'll give you a coin flip on Ole Miss, but I mean, having Bama, Auburn, Georgia, Auburn not so much, but Bama and Georgia on your schedule every year, you guys see it. That's tough. And Kentucky, Mississippi State, they don't play Georgia every year. So, having your good team or one of your better teams in a while have to deal with SEC scheduling to where you just happen to face off against the other or the top 2 teams from each division. You guys do it with Bama. You guys have Auburn. So when Auburn was good, we had LSU and Bama in the same season. Things like that. That's pretty rough. And then Kentucky has, if they don't get this over Mississippi State, they have Tennessee, Missouri, Vandy, Georgia, Louisville. So I could see Kentucky winning all of those games. I could see Kentucky losing to Missouri or Louisville. So I mean, I think this matchup's going to be pretty interesting for teams to get that 7th or 8th win on their schedule. Because looking forward for both of these teams, it doesn't look particularly promising for them to finish more than 2-2 or 3-2 types of seasons.
It's gonna be tough.
Yep.
Yikes.
I've got Mississippi State winning and Kentucky covering in a way that makes that game as boring as possible for everyone watching.
Kentucky sounds like a redneck synonym for shenanigans.
Yeah, I feel like Mississippi State might have
Kentucky
500 passing yards, but the score is going to be like 19-12 or something.
Exactly.
They're going to have 3 picks in the red zone, and Kentucky's going to fumble it to them. Yeah.
It's going to be unwatchable.
Yeah, I can definitely. And Kroger is probably the second worst place to play at night to me after Death Valley.
I gave my opinion. Oh, whoa. You're saying the second worst as in hostile?
No.
Not necessarily hostile, but just weird shit happening. Like the bigger, more dominant teams, like Kentucky will have like 50,000 people in their stadiums, and your team gets 8 false starts and 2 broken ankles, and you're just like, well, that's Kroger Field for you. Like you go into Tennessee and there's 110,000, or Bryant Denny with 100,000. Yeah, they're more hostile, but they also have a much higher quantity. And also the night factor, not just in general. Kentucky during the day.
Put Jordan Hare up there.
Jordan Hare has magic that can break both ways. Yeah, exactly. Kind of that same vibe. Not necessarily like the scariest place to play, but just if I have to play a night game, I don't want to play either one of those teams at night.
Why did I just picture, because I keep forgetting Kentucky's field is called Kroger, and I just pictured these 2 teams playing in a Kroger parking lot.
I mean, 10 years ago, it would have been far off.
The Kroger parking lot.
Yeah.
I talked about this last year when me, you, and Vegas did our championship week podcast, so I won't get all into it again. But first of all, I don't mind playing Kroger or in Kroger Field at night because we scored 38 points with less than a quarter's worth of offensive possession. All right, fuck Kroger Field. It's a dump. It's horrible. They ought to go back just calling it Kentucky Field. It's horrible. Nobody cares about it. They're not going to win a game. They're not going to beat Mississippi State there. I don't know what other games they have there, but it ain't happening. They'll beat Louisville and Vandy. They're not winning another game this year. Oh, and Missouri. They're not winning another game this year.
Oh, Kentucky.
Oh, Kroger.
What was it? Kentucky? Is that what somebody said in
I
Philly?
said something way worse. I don't know.
You said Kentucky.
Yeah, I said something dumb.
He said I said something.
Like,
I did put Kentucky in the Twitter chat the other day.
Yeah, that's what it was. It was you.
Yeah, that was me.
I was in one of the two chats. I'm in
TJ knows how I feel about Kentucky. So does Mustang.
Mustang.
God damn it. Now I have the like video of like the replay of Speed and Oil's tooth getting knocked out.
That was a good time.
Brain.
But real talk, so when Mustang gets a new car, is he getting a new nickname with it?
Absolutely not. He'll be Mustang forever. He's on his third
He's not going to be
Mustang since I've known
Bronco
him.
or like
Cobra.
He's on his third Mustang since I've known him. He may never have a
F-250.
God damn it.
That one will stick.
It really rolls off the tongue.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's a banging nickname. I'm not going to lie.
It's Mustang Matt.
Okay,
I mean,
so
I
now it's
like
an
it.
alliteration. Sorry,
Sounds
that's
like
my
what?
teacher and me. It's an alliteration.
Yeah, exactly. It just rolls off the tongue. He'll never be anything else. Maybe if he gets a Maserati, we'll change it.
That's a good point. What about Mazda?
I think he'd walk before he gave up a Mustang for a Mazda.
That's fair.
He might upgrade to a Maserati given the chance, though.
Yeah, I mean that's understandable.
Okay, this is my question. If you could take one player from another team to make them put them on your team, who would you take and why?
Ah, shit. Who's the best left tackle in college football? There's not that many good ones right now. I'll take whoever.
We're saying off an SEC team or off anybody in the country?
Anybody in the country.
Oh.
Actually, real talk, it might be Jalen Carter, defensive tackle, Georgia. Alabama's not like hurting at D tackle, but I'm just imagining him and Will Anderson and Dallas Turner all playing together.
Yeah.
And that revs the engine. So I might go Jalen Carter if I can't think of a better offensive lineman.
All of the Field of Streams guys were trying to take my freshman at the end of the A&M Alabama game. Like, we're going to take Walter Nolan and we're going to take Evan Stewart. And I'm like, I'm going to fight
Walter Nolan's going back to Knoxville, and Evan Stewart's coming to Gainesville.
Y'all can't have Evan, okay? I will fight you for Evan Stewart.
I'm taking, I don't know what, it's definitely a corner. And it's definitely not Keely Ringo, but it might be anybody else.
Jerry and Arnold, the guy that made the game-saving play.
Yeah, I'll take
at
Terry.
the end of the game.
I like anybody, but
Freshman.
The pass interference call?
Keely Ringo is horrible.
Hey,
the
he
most
literally
overrated defensive player ever in SEC history.
Fair.
So give me Terry and Arnold.
Terry and Arnold heard Jimbo stay where the ball was going. Like
Jimbo's a fucking idiot, but that's fine.
He literally said in the in the press conference or whatever, he's like, I read Jimbo's lips and I saw where he said the ball was going. That's why I knew it was coming to me. And that's why I defended it the way it did. Like, they're showing your hand and then there's literally telling the defense what you're doing. Like,
yikes. Yeah, I mean, Florida has so many holes that I would need more than one player to really make much of a difference. But I'd take Jordan Battle from Bama or Mario Addison. Safety and wide receiver. I think maybe Addison probably be my first pick just because our wide receiver is awful. But yeah.
At this point, there's a lot of quarterbacks I would take that aren't named Haynes King. I would sell Haynes King for free. Give Haynes
You
King.
were talking all that shit when he picked A&M over Tennessee not that long ago. Don't think we forgot.
I did not say a damn thing about Haynes King. No.
You were get the fuck out of here. We'll pull it up. I'll find it. Get the fuck out of here.
I don't even remember that being a thing, honest to God.
Oh, I do. Because I wanted him over Harrison Bailey. It turns out I was wrong either way. But
yeah, that's a tough one there.
But no. We're not going to let that slide.
He's going to find it on Twitter.
The receipts. Matt's pulling receipts out.
I'll go through and listen. I'll listen. I'll figure out what podcast it was, and I'll listen to it. And I'll save it, and I'll play it on Twitter.
Oh, God.
I'll figure it out. It won't be anytime soon because a lot ugh, fuck. Lord knows I don't have the time to do that right now, but I'll get it done.
If it was because I wanted to make fun of you, then that's probably why, not because I knew anything about Haynes.
Like, you didn't start talking shit like he picked A&M over Tennessee, but I remember you being excited because I made a comment about it. Still trap up here, I remember.
Okay, whatever helps you sleep at night. Honest to God, I'd take Kellen Mond right now over most of the. Besides Connor Wingman, I would take Kellen Mond over Max Johnson and Canes King. I don't know enough Connor Wingman to make that.
I saw this. One of my favorite pastimes is looking at mock drafts before the season starts.
Right.
And Max Johnson, not this year, but next year. I think,
God, we have to keep him? God damn.
what year is he? Maybe it was this year. Max Johnson was like a first overall pick in multiple mock drafts that I've seen. And it's almost like Emory Jones being.
Are you sure that they weren't drafting off of names to give off BDE? Like, are you sure they were drafting solely off of NFL talents?
I didn't. There may have been a key that I didn't read off to the side or something. That's a good.
Because if so, Max Johnson, first pick.
Like Max Johnson, he is. If football doesn't work out for him, there's a career that he's just going to line right up for just off that name. But
that's an NIL deal waiting to happen.
Exactly.
Not even NIL, just the name. Forget image and likeness, just the name.
Yeah, we don't need any of the other stuff. But yeah, Max Johnson and I feel like Will Levis is another guy whose star is just slowly fading.
Tyler Van Dyke's up there.
Why the fuck did Will Levis have a star to begin with? That guy has not been good in a game.
I don't understand how you could ever watch Kentucky play football and think, I need their quarterback on my team. Like it's not that he's bad or anything, but he's just not good. Like I feel like Will Levis would not start on 8 or 9 of the other SEC teams. Like definitely nobody, maybe Texas A&M, you guys are pretty bad off. But
at this point.
I mean, maybe AR, but I would rather have AR than Will Levis. At least he's fast. At least he can do front flips and stuff. I mean, that's pretty cool. He might throw pick sixes, but he can do back flips like off of the ground and everything.
Like off of the ground.
He won't fumble it 2 possessions in a row.
I mean, that's a benefit. I hear in football, not just handing the ball directly to the other players helps you win games.
They might want to let
Jalen Milroe.
Yeah, Jalen Milroe and Anthony Richardson have the same fumble strategy to where instead of holding the ball here, they decide that like, oh, I need to hold the ball like out here. And then when it gets punched out, they're just like, dang.
I don't know what happened, Coach.
3 points of contact. Sorry, Coach. I just had the one. And then the ball's on the ground, and you're like, well, that was fun.
I enjoy watching the Aggie defense like I enjoy watching the Cowboys defense. And then there is the Cowboys offense and the Aggie offense. It's the same thing. I can't do it anymore. I'm very sad. But it's okay because I'm going to the state fair on Saturday instead of watching football. So,
well, lucky you.
I'm gonna go get me a corn.
I'm gonna be just stressing the entire day.
Oh yeah, because y'all's is until 6.
Yeah, I will be actively rooting against Tennessee, just so that I can come back next week and ask how it went, like I do with Matt or Brandon and Dren. They love it.
So how'd it go?
Yeah.
Hey, win or lose, I can come back on next week and defend whatever.
Okay.
Oh, I know, brother.
Yeah, he's been defending losses his entire lifetime. Of course.
Yeah. I will give you credit though, man. This is my first time meeting you, but you seem like somebody similar to myself, to where you never stop talking shit, even when you lose.
Oh, Matt does it all the time.
And really, that's the key. I try and tell people if you ever want to be a good shit talker, you just have to never stop talking shit, because as soon as you stop talking shit after you lose, the next time you try and talk shit, somebody's just going to be like, scoreboard, and then you can't say anything. So that's my strategy too, is just be an obnoxious shit talker, just 24/7.
24/7. I'll do it to everybody every day.
Yep. And being a Florida fan, we have like FSU, Miami, then LSU, Georgia, Tennessee, everybody else that hates us because they ain't us. Texas A&M keeps trying to throw shade my way for whatever reason, bringing up the Cleat Yeet. But
I just enjoy making fun of you and Kate specifically. It's not Florida fandom. It is just Kate, and now Kate.
No. We deserve it. We have a very
A&M fans are still in their feelings about Kyle Trask.
They should be.
That's what it is.
We beat Kyle Trask though, so
yeah, but he's named after Kyle Field, and it's always bothered A&M fans. He's from Texas. It's always stuck in them. Because imagine if you had Trask instead of trash-ass Kellen Mond. Maybe you wouldn't have been the fifth team in the playoff race.
Yeah, if y'all had Trask instead of garbage-ass Kellen Mond, y'all would have definitely been in the CFP in 2020. Y'all would have beat Bama that year.
Yeah, you might not have been behind Notre Dame.
You know what?
Ifs and buts were candy and nuts.
We don't have a Merry
Can't change
Christmas.
the past. Dang right.
I love me a Kellen Mond. I do. I do love me a Kellen Mond. But I don't love him as a quarterback. I love him as a human being. It's how I feel about guys like Chase Lane, who should not ever see the field again. He is horrible. But
this is college football. If I don't like you as a player on my team, I don't care who you are.
Oh, I love Chase Lane. He is one of the biggest proponents of female sports on A&M's campus. So I'm a big Chase Lane fan. But that's just me. So
respect it.
Yeah, I feel like none of us can say anything to the Tennessee fan about women's sports because
I was gonna say we are women's sports national.
Yeah, Pat Summitt kind of just like led the path for all that. So Florida's women's sports, our soccer team's been pretty good, but
our soccer team's number 2 this year out of fucking nowhere. Literally, like our first year ever being in the top 20 or something. All of a sudden, we're number 2. I don't know what's going on. Love it. And then softball, Montana Fouts. Gotta love me some Montana Fouts.
Haley Lee left us for Oklahoma, and I'm still not okay. So
I mean, you can see why. I mean,
yes, I can totally see why. Even though Oklahoma fans yelled at her when we played them last year in the NCAA tournament because she hit a home run and stomped on home plate, even though we were down by like 8.
I mean, fans are going to be fans. Fandom.
And now they're like, "Oh, we love Haley Lee," and I'm like, "Don't even.
I feel that.
All right, folks. Well, we're about at about 90 minutes. Any wisdom or points of interest you want to pass on before we wrap it up? What's your favorite stat of the week?
I'll say, as always, Gigamags.
Yeah, for your team, what's a stat that you learned this week that you want to share with the class?
The class.
Tennessee has not beaten Alabama since iPhones were invented, since before iPhones were invented. Love that stat every year.
It's a good one.
Hopefully that doesn't change for you.
Fingers crossed.
Will Anderson is second in the SEC in QB pressures this year, behind the best B. Young in college football, and that would be number 6 for the Tennessee Volunteers, Byron Young.
I also learned Byron Young.
What's his bucket? From Tennessee.
There's also a Byron Young for Alabama, so I've been very confused when listening to draft people talk about how good Byron Young's been this year, and I'm like, who the fuck are you talking about? Not our guy, not our.
Wasn't
Byron
there
Young.
a Byron Young from Connecticut that was in the NFL too? Or it was Byron Murphy.
Must be a very common name.
The most important bit of information anybody can know going into Tennessee, Alabama. I say it every year. I'll say it again on this podcast. The song they listen to and sing as if it's their own every week is a song written about good old East Tennessee. Dixieland Delight is a song about Tennessee. It's about Rutledge Highway right outside of Knoxville. It's not about Alabama. Dixieland Delight is our song. And when you sing that, at some point on Saturday, when you think you're going to be able to beat us, just remember you're singing about East Tennessee. And when I'm smoking my cigar singing it at the end of the damn game, it's going to be talking about Rutledge Highway right down the road.
Yeah, and the band is called Alabama. I don't have a cigar, but I have a fake one, so roll tide. And God, this has been fun. I love hearing you talk shit. I guess when you grow up and your team's been in the shitter the whole time, I guess you think your shit don't stink because you're just used to it. But it's been a great old time. I appreciate it, and we'll see you on Saturday. We'll see how it goes.
And I'll be right back here next week to talk my shit and take my victory lap.
Looking
Win or
forward
loss,
to it.
victory lap.
Shelby, you're off this week, so you get to sit back and watch the rest of us sweat and curse. And I don't know about you, but me and Shelby, we got to change positions, like from the couch to the ottoman, change our
I
hats.
sat my ass on the kitchen floor.
Like
during
for me, I'm a pacer. I'm a nervous wreck during games. If I am standing in the kitchen and we score a touchdown, I'm just like standing by the fridge, like watching the TV from across the room because I brought good luck. Yeah, real normal,
Real normal
mentally
shit.
stable health behavior. All right, guys. Well, I'm gonna wrap it up. Looking forward to next week. Let's see how we do, and go Gators.
Appreciate y'all having me. Roll Tide.
Go Vols.
Go fucking Vols.